You might be wondering how much money can you realistically expect to earn from e-commerce. Watch this video to find out. The internet is full of gurus promising an easy life on a sunny beach showering yourself in dollar bills, but reality is actually quite different. In this video I'll show you 3 realistic scenarios of what you can expect financially. We'll cover a beginner, medium scale and large scale e-commerce store. Successful e-com merchants don't actually have time to sit on a beach because we have a business to run. In order to reach a meaningful income level, you'll have quite a lot of logistics to deal with. Even in a dropshipping model where the logistics are outsourced, the marketing machine and running ads will also need constant attention. Sorry for raiding on your parade. Now that we got the passive side of income out of the way, let's focus on the financials. The beginning stage is where most, beginners start. No prize for guessing that. It has some crucial advantages over larger businesses in that the fixed costs are limited, risk is limited, and the labor bill is also minimal. Most of the work is done by the entrepreneur himself or herself. Software and accounting costs are limited. It's especially lucrative if treated as a side hustle for the non-working spouse. Doing it as a side hustle in addition to your main job will quickly put you in the higher rate of income tax and make it less profitable. Let's take a look at the figures. Our assumption is that we're going to work at a gross profit margin of between 40 and 50%. In the description, you'll find a link to my margin calculator sheet, which you can download for free. Beginner stores I classified as turning over around £10,000 a month, with fixed costs of about £500 a month. Trading from home, so no premises, shipping cost would be around a tenth of the revenue, so £1,000, and product cost would be, let's say, £5,000. We will spend some money on ads, let's say £500. All in all, that should result in a gross profit about £3,000 per month. Not too bad. This will drop by, say, £600 to £1,000 a month if you need to rent some premises. The big key here is that we don't pay any VAT until we reach £90,000 in turnover, at least in the UK. What you can expect at the end of it is a salary equivalent of between 25, maybe 50k. About 20% of the top line, and you will pay very limited amount of personal income tax. As you see, the beginners will benefit from not having to register for VAT, which makes a huge difference with the pricing power. You will also never see profit as big as a percentage of the turnover again as you scale. Some sellers deliberately stay below the VAT threshold because that gives them some nice side income and no headache. If you want a visualization of how VAT affects your business as you grow, I prepared a special VAT impact calculator sheet. You can download it in the description below. Some people, however, want to go away on holidays, and for that reason they need to build a proper business that works even if they do not. It still doesn't mean it's a passive income now, far away from that. Now for brevity, we'll just scale up the beginner business by 10x. As you can see, the mid-size business has some new costs that we've not seen before with the beginner model. The new costs are premises, staff, and VAT at a standard rate. We will also need to include a marketing agency to help us with scaling. The net effect of all that additional overhead is that the take-home profit for the owner will drop dramatically as a percentage of the turnover. It doesn't always make sense to scale up because of the additional complexity and overhead. But if you want to run a proper business, that's the only way to do it. This is where a big decision comes into play. Do you want it to be a side hustle or turn it into a real business? Our mid-sized business will turn over £100,000 per month with fixed costs of about £5,000. That's accountancy, software, payment gateway. Shipping costs of about £10,000, product costs £50,000, ad costs £5,000. The new costs we have is premises between 1 and 2,000, staff 3 to 5,000, VAT at standard rate roughly 17k, agency costs 1,000, and gross profit between 4 and 8k. So that could give you a salary equivalent of between 50 and 100k per year. Nothing to be sniffed at. However, compared to the top line of the business, it's only about 8%, and you will be a higher rate taxpayer at this point. Wow, the numbers are quite different, aren't they? I have to say that these numbers will be very sensitive to any changes as you scale. You might be able to negotiate better postage rates, bulk prices from your suppliers, maybe even payment terms, so you don't have to tie up as much capital in the stock. Also, staffing costs will vary wildly depending on the number of orders you're fulfilling. If you only fulfill a handful of orders with very high ticket price, you might need a fewer staff, but if you fulfill more orders with a lower average order value, you'll need more people. In the case of larger items or more heavy items, you will need a big proper warehouse. Remember, this is just a theoretical model. At this point, you also have to decide, is it a lifestyle business or are you building a sellable asset? There are no wrong answers here. Even selling an entire company might not always be worth it, because you will only get a low multiple of the annual profit. Typically, these smaller companies trade for between 2 and 4 times profit. Exiting a company at this stage wouldn't really allow you to retire just yet. Using the 4% withdrawal rate, as the retirement advisors say is common, you would need 25 years worth of living expenses as the exit price, which is unlikely at this stage. For the large-scale enterprise, these numbers will vary even more wildly because of the various corporate structures that might be employed at the time. You can have your in-house human resource department, or maybe outsource it. The same is true for the finance function. You might have a leadership team in place with a number of directors, each drawing a salary. Each of these additional roles is an obvious drag on the net profit left in a business. When you get to the large business stage, you're much more likely to be an acquisition target for a private equity company. You might consider an exit strategy. For larger companies, the profit multiplier will also be higher, maybe even 5 to 7 times. If you were to sell one of these larger businesses, you could easily retire on the sale price. Allocating it all to a dividend index fund would give you plenty of liquidity every quarter until you die. Having said that, that sounds quite boring, and having reached this level of success, it's unlikely you would give it all up and stop working forever. Typically, people who do so transition into more leadership roles and advisory roles in other companies, or start a new business from scratch. So let's talk about the large-scale ecom business, but here the numbers have a bit more margin for error. The turnover is about 1 million per month. Fixed costs would be 40-50k, so that's accountancy, software, payment gateway. Shipping costs of 100k, product cost 500k, margin matters, we'll get to that soon. Ad cost about 100k, getting lower and lower ROAS after all. New costs would be premises, 15k, staff, 10 to 20k, VAT at standard rate, roughly 170k, and agency costs, let's say 5,000. Gross profit per month, let's say 40k. Salary equivalent of 500k to a million. Sounds good. But again, this is dropping as percentage of the top line, so the final salary would be like 4% of the top line, and you would be an additional rate taxpayer by then. Also remember, you might not be the only director at this stage, because there would be quite a lot of people employed by the business. As you can clearly see from these calculations, the percentage of profit left for the owner drops dramatically as the company scales up. Combined with high capital requirements, this makes the largest scale e-commerce business inherently more risky. That's the reason people like Alex Hormozi avoid this sector altogether. If you're looking for more profit potential inside the business, a service company is much more likely to deliver on it. Having said that, if you have chosen e-commerce to be your next adventure, get in touch with me and I'll let you know how you can do it successfully.